Hello.
How are you?
It's going.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I can't wait to share your story. And we're just going to start off simple. What have you been reading lately? Or what kind of books tend to find you when life feels heavy or meaningful?
One I'm currently in the middle of, and I feel terrible for not being able to remember the author's name, but it is called The Black as Fuck History, the Unwhitewashed History of America.
Oh, really?
And I'm about halfway through it, and it is, really enlightening, horrific at the same time.
Oh, I bet.
But also, I'm not one that can usually do history books and things like that. I have trouble focusing. But the author has an amazing ability to convey the material, but also in a lighthearted, almost snarky way.
Okay.
That allows me to keep my focus. It's been really, really good so far.
Good.
As far as things that I go to, oh man. I kind of cycle through. It's mostly just reaffirming. It's not so much like books or things like that, but I'll go through different principles, like YouTube shorts of like Buddhist principles, other spiritual principles. I've picked and chosen from a bunch of different philosophies that, depending on where I am in my headspace, I'll just go back and kind of rewatch to reorient, realign.
Reaffirm, attune. Yeah. Center, realign.
Yep. Let go of attachment.
Yeah. Is that would you consider yourself a Buddhist?
No, I honestly, people ask me a lot about spirituality and religion a lot, and the closest thing I have experience with is Christianity. I was raised that way, but I believe in a higher power, but I also acknowledge that I don't know what that is. Like, I can't comprehend what that is. So I explore everything and remain open to whatever connects, But if I do pray to God simply because that's what I'm familiar with. And I believe there is an all-knowing greater power out there that I think they would have compassion for me, maybe possibly mislabeling them.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it's benevolent. It's
Right.
not here to harm us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the impression I get too. It's like, whether it be God, Yahweh, Buddha, Allah, all of those, I believe it is, whatever power it is benevolent and compassionate and has that understanding for the universe and life as a whole, that it's not going to judge us that harshly.
Well, I kind of wonder. First, I'm very distracted and I apologize.
Of course.
Do you mind scooting away from the fake tree behind
am
you?
I bumping it?
Every single time you talk, you start to make it sway and it's cracking me up. Do
you want me to slide it that way a little?
No, I won't.
Okay.
Either way. Either move it away.
That arm might keep doing its thing.
Okay. Perfect.
Oh, I did exactly what you told me not to.
Don't worry. It's okay.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you making more room for yourself. I think when we moved the chair, it just kind of got a little bit out.
I'm also I express a lot.
That's great. You get to express however you want to express. I just want to make sure you have room to express and don't have the tree topple on you in the middle of our conversation.
I'm going to need a bigger studio.
Yeah, no, it's good. You're fine. Okay. I didn't expect to get into a spirituality debate, and I'm not saying it's a debate, but I do kind of wonder, like, could they just all be, in your belief, the same?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When I pray to the simple term that I'm familiar with. They could all be one and the same. They could be separate. The fact is, I don't know. It could even just be a universal human consciousness that is not a singular being.
Yeah.
The fact is, I don't know.
But
I do feel like there's something out there.
I mean, I have a good sense of what I think it is, but at least what it means to me. But I think that is individual to the person.
Correct.
Absolutely.
And again, I think whatever power that may be understands that. So,
Okay. What's one thing in your day-to-day life that genuinely helps you get through something that you can rely on?
does caffeine count?
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. As someone neurodivergent, ADHD, let's be real. Sometimes it is the meds or caffeine or something that helps us get us through our day. Social interaction too. I find it's hard to get through the day if I'm solo than even if I have somebody just in the room with me. Just having that interaction and that social presence makes the day go a lot smoother.
Do you know why that is?
Probably because I'm a needy extrovert.
No, you're not needy. It's not because you're needy. It's easier for us to attune and co-regulate when we have another person in our space as opposed to self-regulation. Self-regulation takes a lot of discipline. It goes back to all that Buddhism and all those mindfulness things that you go back to. And I'm not saying that it is impossible to do. It's just much easier to do it if somebody else, that's what counseling truly is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's somebody sitting in space with you and listening. And they might be the only person right now who is listening, right?
True.
So it's really great that way. So that would make sense. That doesn't make you needy, by the way.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. If you could come back for just 5 minutes to experience one thing again, what would feel most grounding or alive for you?
Are we talking a moment in time?
It can be whatever you want.
Ooh. There are so many experiences that you can go back to. But again, it's what do you need in the moment? Because every place, every context can provide something different. I could go back to where I grew up at my dad's property, down with the river throwing through the backyard. You could just go down there, listen to the river and the trees and just chill. That's one thing. I could go back to the birth of one of my children, and experience that again. What are you looking for in the moment? But I would honestly say it's too hard to pick and choose.
Yeah.
But there are so many moments out there. Especially, the longer you live, the more you acquire.
Yeah. That's a very powerful and real answer. Yeah. I would agree with you. I don't know if I could pick 5 minutes. Yeah. It's been kind of a blast. It's also been really hard.
Oh, let's be real.
It's been really hard,
easy.
But there's been some really incredible moments. That I'm super grateful for. When you think about your strengths, what do you feel you're naturally good at, even if it's something you don't always name out loud?
Relating to people. There's so many people I've heard throughout my life in a day-to-day that say like they can't get past what someone's done or they can't get past this or that, but I think I have an ability, and this is probably due to my own experiences in life and having people get past that with me and try to understand me, that to get beyond, like, for example, anger or attitude or whatever it is, call it negative expression from an individual, to be able to actually still try and listen to them. And even if I'm not fully understanding, to at least give them that moment to speak and be heard. Because let's be real, we're not always going to understand where someone's been, where they're coming from, or even agree. But we can listen and hear them out and give them that space to have that time. So I think I'm good at that.
I agree. I think you're good at witnessing people.
I think that's a good term for it. Thank you.
That you provide a safe place for people to be seen.
I try.
That's what I recall upon meeting you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That actually makes me feel really good.
You're welcome. When you think about your strengths, what do you... oh, wait. You already said that. What are you deeply passionate about at this point in your life, even if that passion has changed over time?
Oh, my. Oh, see, and maybe it's, again, going back to the neurodivergent ADHD thing, but I get so into so many things that I have a cycle. But I would say, honestly, I think my true passion is, and kind of how I've developed into this role in and of itself, is, again, giving people the stepping stones and help that I received to get me out of dark places. You know, it's like you said, giving that people that space to feel seen and be acknowledged as a human being and worthy of existing just for that fact alone. Because I find working with the people that I do, that so much of the anger and sadness from whatever they've experienced is because they get treated effectively less than human, and then they kind of fall into it. Well, like, if you're going to treat me less than human, why should I try to live up to your expectations and et cetera? I'm going to do what I want, or why do I care what you think, et cetera?
Are you talking about veterans in general, or?
I'm talking about just marginalized communities in general.
Okay.
You know, like
I just wanted to be specific in case somebody's listening or watching and doesn't
yes,
know who
I'm
you are.
sorry.
You don't need to be sorry. You're
well,
fine.
Context. I work in low income and permanent housing for low income and disabled veterans.
Yes.
And many of them have come off the streets due to whatever background, be it mental illness, criminal record, you know, the gamut of whatever. So there's a lot of trauma and pain there. And that's what I see on a regular basis.
Yes.
So.
A ton. A lot of trauma.
A lot.
A lot of trauma. And a lot of silencing.
True.
Yeah. Especially even with the current administration and the lack of support for mental health for veterans. And I think that a lot of the veterans and unhoused community that I worked with feel completely invisible to the rest of the world, including especially the public. Yeah.
And I think that's across the board for the houseless community in general.
Yes.
I just think there's kind of that little addendum for veterans that hits a little harder because veterans are our heroes. You know, they deserve all this. They deserve all that.
Lives on...
You know, but we're given this title. And then, so we're almost told that
you'll be
taken care of. We have all this stuff and you're so respected and things like that. Yeah. And then it's like, well, how am I still here? How am I not getting help? You know, so it's that kind of that little like icing on top of like, oh, cool. Yeah, you didn't mean a damn thing you said.
Yeah. Yeah. No, look, first of all, I'm not brave enough to go into any branch of the military. It was something that I didn't even consider. So the fact that somebody can do that, and we're going to talk about that. So the fact that somebody else can do that on my behalf, like, I recognize that we do not respect and or care for our military forces in the ways that they stand up and protect and sacrifice on our behalf all the time. Especially right now, having them do the craziest shit. It makes me so sad for anybody that is going into Venezuela right now, going into,
our National Guard troops.
our National Guard troops, all of the people that had to
Taking
show
our
up in
community-
Washington, all of the people that had to show up in Washington, D.C., the woman that got killed in Washington, D.C.
Turning community members on community members.
Yeah, it's that's why I wanted to talk about this with you, because I know you and I talk about it like on a hike or whatever, but you have some insight into what's going on behind the scenes that maybe people are just not as aware of. And so I think that you have a valuable voice. So I appreciate you sharing it with us. Okay, let's see. We were already talking about your future. We're still talking about your beginnings.
I'm good at tangents.
Me too. It's the ADHD
It is.
in both of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. What's the thing you do that helps you feel most like yourself?
It probably goes back to the passion, trying to do things to help people in a situation that I saw myself in at some point, and I can't say it's even those that I've seen myself in. It's just like, we've all been asked that question, if money weren't an option, what would you do for a living? And
what would you do for a living if you didn't have to pay?
Philanthropist. Give me a big old bucket of money.
Yeah, and you're going to go give it to people?
Well, yes, but not in like I'm going to buy you a house type thing.
Yeah.
But just the little day-to-day stressors. Like, I can't afford tires for my car. It's like, man, I got you. Oh, I'm like $100
some
short.
People like that.
Yeah, it's like, I'm $100 short on rent. Here, let me take care of you.
There's some people that are handing out money right now. There are some people that are doing
that. Would be amazing.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, to become hyper rich, you tend to have to take advantage of people. And
I think that's just a belief to be
also
rich.
True. Also
yeah,
true.
To be rich is that's how it's been recently for a lot of people, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's that way for.
True.
And what is rich?
Ooh, now we're getting into the weeds.
Okay, right?
Yep.
Yes, what is rich? I mean, even if we are saying that the current statistics are $140,000 is the new income that you need in order to feel like you can buy the things that you need in your life. If we're saying that that's the median income now that we need, like, what is rich then? Is rich double that so that you can go on vacation?
Right.
It's like, I don't know what that looks like for you, but making $300,000 a year is probably more realistic than saying you want to be the next Elon Musk, but maybe $300,000 a year is enough for you.
Right.
Maybe $140,000
and then where do you
is a year
live?
for
What's
you.
the market like in your area? Because
Yeah.
trying to live in New York is way different than trying
Or
to
San
live.
Francisco,
Yeah, exactly.
as opposed to Portland. And so the choices that you make, like $140,000 where you live in Oregon, might be exactly what
Correct.
you need. Yeah.
I'm talking like hyper wealthy.
Oh, you want to be so wealthy that you're just like
Oh, do I
standing at the
want
grocery
that?
store.
No.
Standing at the grocery store, I do.
I mean-
would love to stand at the grocery store behind somebody, see that they're struggling.
Oh,
and be
yes,
like,
to have
I
that
got
option.
you.
Absolutely.
Fuck yeah.
For that reason,
Are
yeah.
you kidding me? I have no problem with having more wealth at all. At all. I'm always
No,
looking
you're
at ways.
absolutely right.
I'm
because
always looking at ways to have more wealth so that I can do more good in the
if I
world,
were like
because it
Bezos,
magnifies what I can do in
you
the
are
world.
correct.
And I am a really good person. So I would have no problem. I would have no problem with having more money, because I would then be able to do more.
What
for
is
the
it?
people
Didn't they
around me.
do a study and it's like the top couple billionaires could literally solve world
Oh,
hunger?
yes,
And it's just like,
absolutely.
wait, that's viable, and it's just
Yeah, it is.
nobody does it.
No, it does. I mean, some people do it. There are people who do give.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, but the people that we're pointing our fingers at right now, I mean, certainly they have a different agenda. They have a different
True.
agenda, and so we're not really talking about them. There are
Correct.
other people in the world
Yes.
who are doing good things, for sure. Okay. So we just got on a tangent about being rich. How about that?
So you've allocated like 5 hours to this, right? No.
No, we're good. We can talk as long as we want.
Oh, nice. Okay, no time limit. I'm here for it.
What? And I'll tailor it. Like, nobody's going to listen to 5 hours of us. Come on, let's be honest.
I don't know. We're pretty entertaining.
Let's see. What moments or experiences tend to bring you the most peace or contentment?
Honestly, it's probably, sometimes it's just a simple thank you, from the people we work with, because that, again, I'm going to go back to they're just so accustomed to not being legitimately cared for. Like, it's one thing that this organization's helping you or this organization's helping you, but it's different when you can connect with them. You can build that rapport. They're no longer just a number on a page or a name on a page, in the system. And to have someone really say, thank you, like, I actually believe that you care. That's where it's at. Just, again, that breaking down that wall and seeing somebody like feel like a human being again is just it's undescribable.
I agree. It was very rewarding, incredibly rewarding to have the capability to help somebody out of the space that they were in.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably my favorite part. It did not happen every day.
No.
But it did happen. And I did change some people's lives in the time that I worked for mental health and addiction work. And I was really, really proud of the work that I did do. And so I think that is the reward, right? Yeah, I guess the gratitude when somebody is appreciative of what you've done. When you think back to being a kid, Grant, what kinds of things did you enjoy doing or escape into? You were talking about the river. I know about the river, so tell us more. If you could go back in time to the river when you were growing up,
are we talking pre-internet or post-internet?
I don't know. You get to choose. You can tell us about both if you want.
Let's be real, because I like some video games. But no, it's going back to that. I think it was just there were times when me and a couple friends would just literally not literally, get lost in the woods. Just go out into the woods with probably things kids shouldn't be playing with, like machetes and things like that. And just...
Where were you getting a machete?
My dad had like 3. I always found one, and then he'd have to get a new one because I'd lost it in the woods or something.
No way.
Yes, there's probably a machete stuck in a tree somewhere out in those woods, and we lost it.
Boys are funny.
Yeah, like we'd build forts out there or just wander in circles, go find a new big-ass tree we've never seen before. It was just fun to explore.
Mm-hmm. I know. I feel like that's what kids today are missing out on because they don't have parents that feel safe in the world. So most parents wouldn't just let their kids just hang out in the forest all day anymore.
Right. Or they don't have a location to really do so.
Right.
Well,
yeah, that also comes from privilege. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was absolutely privileged to have that green space and in the suburb to be able to go down to the river. Like growing up, that was just how it was. Yeah. And now that I think back about it, I'm like, people would like fight over a situation like that anymore.
Yeah. Especially if they lived in inner city or
exactly.
I know. I lived, when I was growing up, I lived on an 1.5 acres, and it was surrounded by hills, and we used to get on horseback. And I was just talking about this in the previous podcast. And I used to pretend with my sister that we were Laura Ingalls Wilder, and we would go out for hours. My parents had no idea where we were, just so we would come home eventually. And I mean, like, we would go miles away on those horses and come back. And that was my childhood. Like I was out on my own doing stuff, and my mom was always saying, "Get outside." And so
just come back before it's dark.
Yep.
Sometimes we made it.
Yeah. I came back. I was pretty good at. I mean, I was a pleaser, so I absolutely came back. But the point is, that experience, being able to have that. And then when I was a teenager, I begged my parents, because of my best friend at the time, to move to the beach. And we lived like like on the other side of Pacific Coast Highway in California, in Southern California. So literally like we were overlooking Pacific Coast Highway in California. And I went back there just this past August, and I was like, I mean, I knew at the time, my parents kept telling me like how lucky we all were, but like I go back now and I can't afford that house.
Right?
I can't afford that house now. But I remember my dad, I think they paid $270,000 for it in the 80s. And I looked up what that was. And that's like, I don't know. That's probably the cost of my property here in Portland at this point. But I guess the point is like, yeah, 200. Could you imagine buying a house for 270,000 anymore? I don't even know where I would have to go to do that. But
and then it'd be a fixer-upper where you'd have to spend money on top of that.
Oh, that was a brand new home.
Yeah.
So it's a very different time. And then, of course, like what my dad was making per year for 3 kids, granted, but per year was actually, I looked that up too. And I was like, wow, he was actually making a pretty good income. So
just things you don't realize growing up.
Had no idea. I mean, I knew that we weren't starving, absolutely. And we didn't have a lot of money, extra money. They were really great about saving. My dad came from nothing, so he always pretended like we didn't have anything. So
Right.
So it's not like he spoiled us. He definitely didn't spoil us. I mean, I guess that's relative too.
Relative, yeah.
But, yeah. Anyways, we got on a tangent there too, talking about myself, and we're supposed to be talking about you.
It's all relatable.
Is there a childhood memory that feels meaningful to you, but that you haven't shared publicly before now?
Ooh.
I loved the look on your face just now.
I don't know. I talk a lot, so I can't guarantee that it's never been said before.
Publicly.
Oh, publicly, like as in...
You're on the internet.
Oh, yes, that's true. Okay, so we're talking super public.
Something you're willing to share.
What kind of memory was it again?
A childhood memory that feels meaningful to you.
Ah, meaningful. What is meaningful to a child? You know, because there's...
What's the first thing that came to mind? How about that?
To be 100% honest, I don't have a whole lot of childhood specific memories.
There we go. That might be why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of something that stuck out in my brain.
There's no pressure if nothing comes to mind.
Nothing hyper relevant. Okay. You know, just little flashes of like blowing out candles on a birthday cake. You know, things like that, you know, but nothing profound, nothing. Okay, it's not a memory, but it was a photo of me when I was, goodness, I must have been 2.5, holding my little brother for the first time. So that moment struck me, but it's not necessarily a memory, if that makes any sense.
So you don't remember?
No, I think I was too little to have the memory of it, but seeing the photo was impactful to me as a younger person. So
and let's go there for a second.
Sure.
So you don't have a lot of memories of your childhood?
No, it was only in the last couple years that, for whatever reason, one night laying in bed, a bigger chunk of them, like I just started connecting dots and remembering a lot of them growing up. And I'm not sure why. I mean, like, again, didn't have like any traumatic childhood or anything like that. So I'm not sure. If it's the neurodivergence or things like that.
Grant, that's debatable. You know how I feel about that.
Okay. Relatively, comparatively.
Well, we're not comparing it to everybody else. We're talking about your experience. And so we did start off by saying everyone's perception of reality can be different, right? And what I think is trauma and what you think is trauma may be two different things. But for the most part, we can agree to a definition. So
I do remember sitting on Grandma's lap. That was always comforting.
Okay. So there you go. You do have memories.
Yeah, again, sometimes it takes a minute to dig them up.
Well, it's not that. I mean, they're there. They're there. And maybe some of them you don't want to remember. There's also
Plausible.
there. Yeah. Because I think we can both agree that your childhood wasn't blissfully perfect, right?
No, like my parents got divorced when I was young, things like that. So there
Yeah.
are significant
So
things.
that might have absolutely
Oh,
impacted your
absolutely.
memory. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
If you were stressed out about the fact that your parents were about to leave each other, that could absolutely impact some
Oh,
years.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then the aftermath.
And children in general are just so susceptible to that. You know, their brains are still forming, they're still making connections and things like that. So yeah, you're right. Even smaller things for what we would interpret as smaller things for an adult is highly impactful for a child. So yes.
Yes. And I'm not asking you to go back there in your
Oh,
adult
no.
self. Yeah. Yeah. So good. Okay. So your grandmother holding you. Did your grandmother watch you a lot?
Yes. She lived across the street from us, which equivalent city, like probably a half mile.
That's really cool. Did you enjoy that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I love grandma.
Yeah. Okay. How would you describe what it was like growing up in your family?
Overall, I would say comfortable. You know, I don't want to say it was great or bad. After my parents split, my dad, single father, you know, so working a lot. So I do remember missing him a lot, you know, and as a child, you don't understand why.
Did you stay with both parents or did you stay in one of their homes?
I lived with my father, and then me and my brother would go visit my mother every other weekend.
Okay.
So yeah, there was still connection there and things like that. We'd do vacations with my mother as well and stuff like that. But I did spend a lot of time, pardon me, with my grandmother, aunts, uncles, things like that. So
that grandmother was your dad's mother? Okay. Okay. On the property with the river.
they lived across the street, so their property didn't connect to the river, but
yours did.
Yes, but that whole village of family was always out there in the summer anyway, so.
It sounds like a really nice time.
It was, like I said, yeah, there were moments, but overall there was a lot of good in it too, you know, like me and my cousins were always super close and things like that, which reminds me, we've actually kind of drifted apart a lot as adults. So I should probably actually reach out more because I know they care, but it's hard to do when I don't do social media so much because everybody stays connected that way anymore. So
you could create a group text.
True, but then they'd talk a lot.
So then individual texts.
Yeah, probably. I just need to be better about it because I get so wrapped up in my own life.
Yeah, I mean, we all get wrapped up in our own life. I think it takes effort to be relational in any relationship. It's no relationship is easy.
Or if it is, it's probably for the wrong reasons.
I don't know what that means, but
Meaning, like, if it feels easy, my brain goes to that someone on either side might not be being honest or something like that. Like, because there's always going to be difficulties and things like that. So if it's too easy, it might mean that somebody might not be speaking up if there's an issue or concerns, or
so you mean it's a shallow relationship?
could be, or somebody's just maybe been through their own trauma and scared to speak up. I don't want to lose this individual, so I'm just going to
Silence myself?
Yeah.
Okay. And be inauthentic?
Yes. And let's be real, we're all guilty of that.
Of being inauthentic?
At some point, yeah, absolutely. Because I think we're all trying to please somebody at some point.
I mean, yeah, maybe. I think as I get older, I'm really good at...
Oh, yes, the fucks absolutely go away.
Yeah,
but...
I'm really good at making myself happy at this point. But yeah, I mean, I'm not perfect, of course. But
Because, I mean, like, let's say, for example, at work in an organization, maybe you'll hold your tongue because you don't want to offend the boss, which might,
sure.
Because you're afraid it might affect your promotion
Sure.
or things like that. Little things like that, like not intentionally inauthentic, but just putting on a mask for a minute.
Withholding. What kinds of relationships did you see modeled when you were young, and how do you think they shaped you?
Grandma was a big one.
She was like pseudo mom for you.
Oh, absolutely. But she was pseudo mom to all of my cousins, like we'd all be out there all the time. I think it's actually when Grandma passed that the greater family kind of drifted a bit because she
kept everybody
she was the
together.
anchor. Yeah. So that the being that caregiver, even though I'm not the greatest at it, is something I've always admired, is those that can instinctively just care for people and, like especially children. Like I'm a father, but I wouldn't see myself as that, what do you call it? Idealized father, like, oh, let's go out and play baseball and catch and things, and just always consistently involved and things like that because
Don't you have daughters?
Yes. But, just that like, for example, growing up.
I'm not saying daughters don't play catch.
Correct,
I'm just saying it's a different relationship than a son. Yeah.
Like when they're super young, I always felt bad as a father because it was hard for me to sit down and like play pretend, like
That's
with
hard
whatever
for
they're
any
doing
adult.
at the thing. Because I don't know if it was distraction or again, the undiagnosed ADHD where it was just, I hate to say this, but it wasn't interesting enough for my brain for me to like focus and get in on it. Like,
I think
absolutely.
you're hard on yourself. I think really it's a difficult, it's a vulnerable experience, I think, to be a parent and to be able to get in play time with them. We're very distracted. We have our own agenda. We have a lot of things that we're thinking about doing, all of that. And it takes emotional attunement and a lot of patience to sit with a child and actually be on their level and play. Especially if play wasn't allowed in your family or modeled by your parents, you're not going to really know how to play with a child.
I was also a completely different person when my children were younger, too.
Of course you were.
Because they've, I don't know if they even remember, but like they've kind of had to live through my mental health healing journey and things like that.
Well, of course, my daughter has too. Yeah.
It's I'm satisfied with myself as a parent now and my role and things like that because in my current state, I feel like I know like I can help them like I help the people I help. It's that giving them grace and understanding and.
Well, they're older now. And connecting to a female as a dad is very different than connecting to a son. Yeah, it's more of an emotional landscape with a female.
I'm here for it. Because I am way more of an emotional person than I am like a yay sports ball, so.
Okay, let's see. If you could change one thing about how your parents showed up for you, what would that be?
I think distilling it down to the basics is just better communication, but then again, I think we all censor ourselves a bit for children and that gap of what's appropriate, what's inappropriate, things like that. But and maybe I'm giving myself too much credit as a child and my ability to comprehend what's going on and things like that. But I feel like I would have liked a better understanding, or at least the attempt of understanding of how life works and what's going on and why things are happening.
So you feel like things weren't explained to you?
Yeah. Like one thing I probably shouldn't feel guilty for, but I do, is being so harsh on my father for not being around as often as I would like him, because he was working so many hours and doing so many things, taking care of us. And I always felt like he would like not follow through with his promises. But again, not because he didn't want to, but because he was just so busy. Like, oh, we're going to take some time and, like build this little tree house or something,
But he did choose to be that busy too.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, no one made those choices for him. Circumstances could have forced him to choose these
correct.
things.
Okay, yes, that's fair.
But he did absolutely make those choices. He could have made more time for you. And I think your child would say that he could have made more time for you. But as an adult, maybe you see his perspective. And so you're like, oh, well,
That's fair.
It makes
Absolutely
sense.
fair.
Yeah. So there's that balance between recognizing what, this isn't like pointing fingers at your dad, but absolutely, he wasn't there to show you how to play, which then in turn, you weren't there to learn how to play with your daughters either, right? That's how we learn it.
Actually, that makes a lot of sense. I don't think I'd ever connected those dots before.
Yeah, that's how we learn it. So, okay. What do the people closest to you tend to appreciate most about who you are? I love your faces.
Oh, wow. I don't know if I know that answer.
Okay, well, maybe it's time to find out.
Yeah, maybe. Like,
people don't give you compliments or tell you what they appreciate about you? Come on.
well, I know they appreciate my caring and compassion and things like that. But
I was like, what did I just ask you? Yes, I
but
just
I
checked the
also
question.
know I tend to overdo it sometimes. Like,
How did this become about you being wrong somehow? We're talking about what do people appreciate the most about you? You don't know.
the fact that I'm just, kind and I care.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You are kind and you care. I could have told you that. Is there something about you that only a few people really know, something that feels quietly important to your identity?
See, that's hard because I'm so open with so much. Like, I don't really have parts of me that I hold back much. I talk about my story a lot. I'm pretty much an open book, so it's hard to say, because if we get into the topic of it, I'll talk about just about any part of me with anybody. So I can't say that there's anything really that only a few people would really know.
Okay. How about this? What originally led you to enlist?
I am terrible at school. So the idea of going to college and trying to effectively fight through that just didn't feel like a viable option to me.
Okay.
On top of the desire to help people, and that was in my brain. That whole message thing was military was honorable. You're protecting people, things like that. Is
that how you were raised? Is that your family's beliefs around it?
I think there's some of that for my family. Like,
Has anyone else served in your family?
My uncle was in Vietnam. But outside of that, I think I'm the only... Yeah, I think I might be the only veteran outside of my uncle now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, I'm not sure where the idea for joining the military first really crept in, but it seemed like a viable option outside of college. When college is kind of the expectation and you're not good at college.
Was that the expectation in your family? That you go to college?
Do something after school,
Because you could have gone into the trades too. You could have easily become an electrician.
True. That's true. Oh no, electrician. That's one thing electricians are my heroes.
Why?
Okay. Because I am not a fan of electricity. Like,
Why?
for whatever reason, it freaks me out because I don't know if it's because I can't see it or whatever, but I don't even I'll work on my car battery, but I don't even like that. Something about
You're going to shock yourself?
Yes, if I'm doing something like with an outlet or whatever.
You're going to do it wrong.
I know technically you can shut off one breaker and that outlet will be dead, but I'll shut them all off just to be safe because it freaks me out. So electricians are my heroes.
Okay.
But no, I think, I don't even, maybe it was just the idea of service and growing up where I did that I didn't know much more outside of what service meant.
Mm.
So
did you even know what you were getting yourself into?
Mildly. And I think that's a good chunk of what veterans run into is, we're children when we sign up,
I know you are.
You don't think that when you turn 18.
Oh,
but,
no. I thought I was so old when I was having my daughter
I'm so
at 23.
Responsible.
Yeah, when I was 23, I thought I was so old. I was like, I'm not young. I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. I absolutely did. But I also made a lot of mistakes because I was 23. And I would have probably not made as many if I had waited a little longer. So we can just throw that out there. My mom was probably right, but I'm never going to tell her.
I think I regret the...
I'm never going to tell her.
Absolutely. I don't think I regret the decision to go in. I just wish I...
was more informed about it?
Yeah, knew more about... Because let's be real, so much of the military is political.
Yeah.
And
it sure is.
I knew nothing about politics.
At 18.
I don't even think I voted, in the entire time I was in the military because it's just like, you don't think about it. You're young, and at that point, it's not super important. But the military is so political that you don't really know what you're getting into. It's like, yes, I believe a military is necessary, but that doesn't mean we need to be using our military in all the ways and sending our people to die for all these other things that these children, like literal children, don't understand what they're doing.
Yep.
I'm just following orders.
Yep.
I'm a hero.
Yep.
We're fighting the bad guys. It's like, what if they're not bad guys?
Right.
Yeah.
So what years were you in the military?
I was in from 2002 to 2006.
Oh my goodness. So do you think that also was a timing thing? Because
Possibly,
of what was going on with our country at that time and our views on the bad guys and the war.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was actually funny, though, because I was in the delayed enlistment program. So I actually signed up when I was 17. And then, so I signed up in 2001. And then 9/11 happened after I had already signed up.
Oh, my goodness.
And people kept
you
coming.
You didn't immediately get deployed?
It hadn't gotten to that point yet. So, so I had signed up,
so you signed
but I
up
was still in high
9/11.
school.
Okay, so nothing had happened yet. But George Bush was talking about, I can't remember the phrase they used to say all the time. What was it? Weapons of mass destruction. Good God, we must have heard that
so many times.
3 million times. Weapons of mass destruction. That's all I remember about that time.
Yeah. So... then people would, after 9/11 happened, everybody would ask me, "Are you still going in? Still going in?" I'm like, "Well, yeah."
Yeah, of course I am. Of course I am, because it's the right thing to do. I got to go protect my country.
It was actually kind of interesting because once I got in, that, again, as we mentioned, I was Air Force, which is typically viewed as kind of the easier branch, the more intellectual branch. And I actually saw a lot of people in there in my first year or two that were like, oh man, I didn't sign up to go to war. I just wanted my college paid for, and things like that. And that really struck me that the military had kind of been sold as a benefits program as opposed to a military.
Is. For a lot of people, it is. A lot of people do it to go to college or to get out of the circumstances that they were in. It's an escape.
Correct.
Was it an escape for you as well?
Escape from college, like I said, schoolwork, all that stuff, absolutely. Because for people who don't know, I was late diagnosed ADHD, so I didn't get my diagnosis until my early 30s. So I've gone through my whole life struggling with all those admin tasks and homework and things like that, just never really understanding why. So that was just, I felt the best option. It's like, okay, at least I won't have to write papers and do homework. Yeah,
I struggled in school as well. I mean, I absolutely, I haven't been through an assessment. Well, I have been through assessments now at school, but I probably wouldn't have known I was ADHD until my daughter turned to me and said, "You're ADHD." I probably wouldn't have known that I'm on the autism spectrum if I hadn't been through diagnosis class twice now, but one for prerequisite and once now through my program. So
FYI for anybody watching, any neurodivergence things are genetic. So chances are if you have a kid that's been diagnosed, might want to think about it.
Oh, my daughter hasn't been diagnosed either, but it's very clear that they absolutely are. My mother absolutely is, and my nephew absolutely is, and probably my sister is. Maybe all three of us are. My sister had learning disabilities, so I think that they're all kind of neurologically connected. And as I like to say, on the spectrum. Okay, so we talked a little bit about why you enlisted. What was happening in your life at the time that made the military feel like the next step? It was just college for you.
Primarily, yeah. And then that sense of service and not really knowing any other options.
Okay, so feeling like you had no other option. And can you share a little bit about your role in the Air Force and where you were stationed?
I was, my job was what they call explosive ordnance disposal. It's effectively the military's bomb squad. Honestly, I actually got into it because I was a sucker and my recruiter said, "Hey, you want to blow stuff up?" I'm like, "Yes, I do. Sign here." So I really legitimately had no idea what I was getting into when I chose that job. Or if I
That's
did,
what the recruiter said to you?
Pretty much. I mean, there's some paraphrasing there, but it was something along those lines.
No wonder you were excited about it.
Yeah. But the funny
That's putting it mildly. Do you want to go blow some things up?
Yeah.
An 18-year-old isn't going to say, "What do you want me to blow up?"
Yeah. But what he didn't tell me is that at the time, I don't know what the statistics are now, academically, it was the third hardest in the Air Force as far as like pass-fail rates. So when I went through, only 1 in 3 made it. And I'm convinced the only reason I made it is because there was no homework. But yeah, so that's kind of what I did. I spent most of my time.
Were you overseas?
I did spend some time overseas in Kuwait, but I am lucky enough that I'm not a combat veteran. I didn't get into combat or anything like that.
Did you ever fly planes?
No.
Okay.
Nope. Common question, but there's a lot of jobs in the Air Force that
don't require a plane.
Yeah, don't involve planes at all. I mean, outside of getting from point A to point B.
Okay. So you were in charge of bombing things.
No, disarming them.
Disarming bombs. So you had to go over to Kuwait and disarm the bombs. Holy crap.
Yep. So like when you see all the movies and the guy in the big bomb suit, yeah.
You were the bomb suit. You wore the bomb suit.
Yeah.
I don't remember if we talked about this. We must have, but I
Yeah.
did not remember that.
Yep. Yeah. So
Okay. And so what does that do to your nervous system?
I don't know. Like I said, electricity scares me more. People always ask me, like, how do you disarm bombs? I'm like, I understand how that works.
Well, you would have
know?
understood being an electrician too if you had gone to a
You're
trade
probably
school.
right. You're
Someone
probably right.
would have shown you how to make things safe for you so that you felt like it wasn't so scary.
Probably.
I mean, the idea of getting in a bomb suit right now and trying to go dismantle bombs seems very intimidating for me.
Well, honestly, the easiest way to get rid of a bomb, if you have the option, is just to blow it up. There's
So you just go around and blow things up.
Legitimately, when you have open desert and there's no risk of harming anybody or anything,
You
absolutely.
just go and blow things up.
Yeah, if you find something that didn't explode when it should have, you just put more explosive on top of it and get rid of it. Ta-da.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only when you
Did
get in.
you like that part?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm not going to pretend I didn't.
You'd be like, oh, that's cool.
But yeah, it's only when you get into situations where you would have some form of collateral damage, like it's in a populated area, or it's going to ruin infrastructure or anything like that. That's the
What about ruining the earth?
Ooh, that's a whole nother topic, because
I know you care about rocks and animals.
But yeah, over there's not.
But the government and the military is not worried about those things.
No, not so much.
No.
But.
Or animals. Yeah.
But I actually spent most of my time stationed up in Alaska, Elmendorf Air Force Base, right near Anchorage. So that's where I actually spent most of my time.
So you got used to living with a lot of light and a lot of dark.
Oh, there's no getting used to it. Maybe if you're born and raised there, but I never got used to it. It never slept well up there. Either I was always awake because it was daylight and my body thought I should be awake, and can't sleep, or I always felt tired because it's dark and your body's like, you should be sleeping. Yeah, never got accustomed to it.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it. And thank God I don't have to. It is very beautiful there.
Oh, absolutely gorgeous.
It is very beautiful. When you think back to your deployment, what did staying safe actually look like day to day?
Staying safe was pretty much, just, follow
the rules.
Follow the in-place procedures for what we do, because even though we were kind of close to the combat zone, there was no imminent threat. There were a couple times where like, oh, it could, but there was never that real, like, you need to be on your edge, something might happen type thing. But so for me, it was mostly when we were, taking care of all these things that never went off in the desert, just the basic procedures,
Did you feel safe out there in Kuwait?
Safe in what aspect? From the enemy?
Yeah.
Or
yes.
Yeah. Out there, I didn't really feel threatened by any kind of attack or anything like that. No.
Do you think they were more scared of us than you were scared of them?
Well, in the time we were over there, that wasn't the part of the war zone. So what we were taking care of was mostly left over from, I believe it was the Iraq invasion, when Iraq invaded Kuwait and then we kicked Iraq out. It was mostly leftover stuff that we
Dismantled.
dropped. Yeah, over there.
Got
so
it.
It was pretty much just cleanup from a previous conflict.
Okay. That makes sense. Let's see, I'm reading some of these questions. If you're comfortable sharing, do you remember the first time you witnessed any serious injury, or did you witness anything like that while you were there?
I'm actually super lucky in the fact that I didn't witness any of it, but due to the nature of the job I was in, I did have a lot of people that I wasn't necessarily close with, but like I went through training with and stuff like that, that did have to go to the combat zones. And I want to say, I haven't looked in a long time, but not long after I got out, there had been 6 or 7 people I had gone through school with that had been killed over there. So never witnessed anything like that directly. Again, I'm one of the lucky ones. But there's still that loss, but not in the same sense.
Yeah, of course. Looking back now, what stands out most about that experience? The emotions, or how you had to respond during that time?
Looking back, it took a long while for me to give myself for the credit for making it through the training in and of itself, because, if you haven't noticed, we've discussed this before, the whole downplaying my success, things like that and that nature. So that was a big one for me. The other is my experience in fitting into the military culture or not fitting into it. There was just, I've always been, I guess, a more emotional, compassionate individual than the typical masculine, manly man type thing. So it was always difficult for me to fit into that culture quite the same as it might for others. So I think that contributed a certain amount to, not going like full term retirement in the military and whatnot. But that was the big thing, is realizing how much I felt like I didn't fit the norm of the way a lot of people were. And that's not speaking ill of them. It's just some people fit into certain professions and mentalities better than others.
Did you notice your feelings towards the enemy change over time?
I don't know. It always evolves. It always changes. But I don't know if I've ever really dehumanized our enemy like some people do. Because one of the questions my stepmother asked me when I first signed up was, she's like, you don't even kill bugs, you put them outside. Like, how are you going to possibly kill another human being? And my thought process was that, I signed up for the military. I signed the papers, which essentially is me committing to that I'm willing to die for this.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, regardless of whether I agree with the opposing side or not, is in picking up that weapon, or whatever you want to call it, they've essentially signed that same contract. We're both willing to put our lives on the line for whatever it is we believe in. So I don't know if I've ever had quite the same views as others might, as on bad guy, good guy type thing. But yes, outside of the military, exponentially changed. Like, again, you grow up, you learn how political global conflicts are and things like that, and that dramatically changes things. But while I was in, I think I was still too young and inexperienced to really think beyond any real consequence, if that makes any sense. So
Yeah, I think that's honest. What parts of your experience have been the hardest to explain to people who haven't lived it?
Mm. I think it's the understanding that you can be anti-war and pro-veteran. You don't have to be anti-war and anti-veteran, because a lot of people make the assumption that people signed up and agreed with everything that went on, or didn't understand situations that our military personnel could be put in where there's no good outcome. So it's hard to explain without having a real sit-down discussion that there are no win in really crappy scenarios. So you can have compassion for the people without agreeing with or condoning what happened. So I think that's probably the biggest disconnect.
I agree. On your hardest days, how would you describe the weight you carry, either emotionally or physically?
Debilitating. Like some days it can really be debilitating. Like I tell a lot of our guys, suffering similar things, it's like sometimes putting 2 feet on the ground and getting out of bed is the victory for the day. It's little things like that. Sometimes we can't be expected to show up and be completely competent for a day. So, yeah, I would say at the hardest times it can be absolutely debilitating.
What does motivation feel like when it's low?
What does motivation feel like when it's low? Heavy. Like just... It can almost feel physical sometimes, like when just can't get motivated or having trouble getting out of bed, putting 2 feet on the floor and getting out of bed in the morning. Sometimes like that, just I want to lay here for, another...
A little bit longer.
Yeah.
What does it actually take to get through a day during those periods?
A lot of times it's, for me, the having to remind myself that this affects other people. So I still have to show up in some way, shape, or form because they're, like, whether it be my coworkers or the people we serve, somebody will likely need something from me. And if I don't show up, they're not getting that. Does that mean that we don't take care of ourselves, or I don't take care of myself and don't give myself that space if needed? No. But if I do have the capacity and I can do so, then it helps me to do so. But I think that's in similar industries, like, where you and I met. I think that's where a lot of burnout comes from, is because
for sure.
they don't give themselves the same grace that they give the people they serve. Is they just give and give and give and give and never take the time to refresh themselves because they're like, oh man, these people are relying on me. And then eventually that's the term, burnout, because they got nothing left. It's hard.
Well, a lot of times when we move into the service industry, we do so because that was our role in the family. So it feels very natural and accustomed. We feel very accustomed to giving in that way. It either proved useful to us as children, or it gave us some sorts of value or the ability to be seen in our family or whatever it may be. But a lot of times that's where it's coming from.
True.
And then, if I come from a family that utilized me as a resource, if I was just an extension of my mother's wants and dreams, because I was, um, then I'm going to, one, not have proper boundaries, but two, my mom didn't know what self-care was. So how in the
Oh,
world would
right?
I know what self-care was?
I mean, how
My
would
mom still doesn't know what self-care is, just for
so
the
many people
record.
don't know what self-care is
Yeah.
anymore because we're sold this
She's better
idea.
at it, but not really.
We're sold this idea like self-care is give yourself a bubble bath,
Mm.
go buy this new comfy thing or things like that, when it's like, it's
It's
so
really
much
just,
more.
it's rest.
Yes. And whatever that means to you.
Well, it's replenishment and nurturing and rest. It's allowing yourself to be able to rest.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what self-care is. And rest in my family was seen as lazy.
Mm-hmm. And
You're
then,
called lazy even if you laid down.
right,
Yeah.
right. Well, there's also the other side of it is what's replenishing to you, because shout out to all my friends in the last couple of years that have helped me understand introverts, because I really did not up until recently, because I replenish by spending time with people. And I get that energy and
You're refreshed.
yeah, after spending time in just conversations like these,
Yeah.
just being able to discuss things and what we're passionate about and stuff like that. And then you have the other side that is like, I just need to not talk to anybody. Like, I used to take it so personal when people
it's
didn't.
not that we don't want to talk to other people. Let's reframe that.
Fair.
It is the fact that we've talked to other people and now we need downtime to re-regulate ourselves.
Correct.
Yes. And to replenish ourselves. That would be like pitting avoidant attachment styles against anxious attachment styles. We both have coping strategies that are maladaptive to our anxiousness, basically. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess the message is, however you refresh and rest, it's not wrong.
No.
So take care of yourself.
You probably need to do so even more than you're already doing now, especially if you're in the helping professions, especially right now. None of us are walking around with
my word, right?
With regulated nervous systems.
Oh, my word.
We do our best. I always call it up on the hill at Lewis and Clark College because I feel like we we are privileged in that liberal arts. And it is kind of on a hill, liberal arts college, but we do our best. It's a thing. People are really, really struggling right now, which is why I appreciate you coming here and talking about this. So, let's see. How did your time in the Air Force impact your relationships once you got home? Did it change anything?
Well, let's be real. My parents didn't like that I came home and drank and smoked so much.
Okay.
Just different things. But
because is that how everyone coped when you were in the military? Is that where you learned
probably,
it from?
that's probably, yeah. I
Everyone
didn't think of it as much of a coping mechanism before, but yeah.
Regulating your nervous system.
Yeah, it kind of checks out. Things like that. It's just life experiences change you. I can't say that it changed my relationships with anybody much, but I grew, had life experiences, so I could say that it changed perspectives, it changed how I interacted with people, but not on any kind of like fundamental level, I don't think.
Did you, would you say that you incurred some PTSD from being in the military?
Yes, but not in the same way I would say that like combat veterans do or anything like that.
That's
because
okay.
I have been diagnosed with PTSD, but there have been many contributors to that, not necessarily just the military.
Okay.
So, yes, but again, it's different because the traditional view of PTSD is like hypervigilance and, the whole not being able to interact in certain situations and stuff like that. And I've never had it that severe, thankfully. But, and it could just be that I never noticed a shift in myself. Like maybe those around me did, and I just never noticed. So it's entirely plausible that I'm just not seeing my own shift.
That's honest.
So,
Okay.
I mean, it definitely contributed to my mental health issues and things like that at some point.
At some point,
So
that's where I'm kind of getting at.
Yeah, but
because I don't think you left feeling the way that you feel now.
I've always undiagnosed, but I've always felt like I've had some form of chronic depression, even growing up.
Okay.
And I think there were certain aspects within the military that contributed.
Okay.
You know, so it's a combination of factors. I'm by in no way, shape, or form pinning all of my issues on the military. But it's always, I mean, in any way, shape, or form of trauma, it's cumulative.
Yeah.
It's never just really one thing.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. It's definitely not one thing. You can incur a lot of trauma from one thing.
Absolutely.
But or one person, but absolutely it is cumulative, as you would say. Sorry, I'm reading through some of this because I'm skipping through because I'm checking time.
Oh, of course.
If you could redesign mental health support for service members and vets, what would you change?
First off, accessibility. You know, and I don't personally utilize the VA health system much anymore because I got out of it due to its limitations previously. So I can't speak to 100% how it is now, but the mental health services then kept getting scaled back and scaled back and scaled back to the point where like I would go in for like a therapist session, and at one point they had cut it down to half-hour sessions, and I felt like 15 minutes of that half-hour session was dedicated to rescheduling the next appointment.
Of course.
So it just felt woefully insufficient.
You're just getting started in the first couple of minutes. Yeah.
And again, that could have changed. We have a lot of new, like the Compact Act. I know a lot of people have heard about the PACT Act, but now there is also the Compact Act, which means that you, if a veteran is in crisis, they can be seen anywhere and not be charged for it. So that's a great thing. If you don't know about that, your vet friends don't know about it. If they're having a mental health crisis, encourage them to get help because it will be covered in some way, shape, or form. There might be caveats to that, but it's a good service. The other side I would say for the mental health thing is, I don't know how to really word it outside of like deconditioning, you know, because a lot of the things I run into with a lot of veterans is they have this, if I don't succeed the first time, I failed. I'm done. It didn't work. I'm just a failure because we're so accustomed to life and death scenarios, you know, everybody else is at risk if you don't succeed, that they get in this mindset of failure is not an option. And when they do fail, it's a huge hit. And then that contributes to the downward cycle. So a lot of guys that I work with that say with substance use issues, I try to explain them from the very beginning. It's like falling off the wagon is part of the process. You know, you're not expected to just go from 0 to healed in a session. You know, it's little bits here and there, and you're going to go backwards sometimes. But if you keep at it, you're never going to go further back as you were the first time. You will still be further forward. And sometimes you'll go back a little bit, but you keep moving forward. So getting through that barrier of I can't ever fail, because and I think that's why a lot of veterans don't talk to other people about it too, is it can come off as embarrassing, like I didn't succeed, and it feels in some cases dishonorable.
Or I'm a failure.
Yeah.
I'm a failure to society, or my family. Question for you. Do you think that this is, I mean, I know you don't just work with men, but it's primarily also something that is conditioned into our men. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's society as a whole. I mean, look at our corporate infrastructure and like attendance point systems. We have turned failure from a growing and healing opportunity into a moral failure. And it's so hard to what did I say? What was the word I used before? Like decondition people or into this idea that it's like, the example I use is like when a child's learning to walk, if they stumble and fall, we don't
Laugh at
criticize them. We don't tell them that they're a failure. We go, oopsie, get up, try again.
Yeah.
And that's the way we should be treating all of our failures. The only time you truly fail is when you refuse to learn from whatever happened. But people get, and I'm guilty of it, is this idea of like, well, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Or holding oneself to a standard that is really unrealistic.
Yeah. I mean, how else do you learn, like, without a mistake? How else do you learn? You're not going to always get it right.
Right.
It's what did you learn from, and I don't even call them mistakes, but what did you learn from that?
Right.
Yeah. I think they're the most informative part of learning if you don't get something right.
Absolutely.
Of course, it's ego crushing. I'm still mad about the fact that math was hard for me and I never got anything right. But that said, I learned a lot, right? Okay, so how has connecting with other veterans shifted how you understand your own story?
Oh man, there's so many answers to that because like I said, I am lucky enough that I never saw combat. So in working with coworkers, friends, and our client base, seeing those perspectives and from different branches, from different eras, because we have Vietnam veterans all the way up to like they just got out a few years ago. Seeing other people's perspectives helps me see it through my own lens because there's a lot of there are a lot of veterans, especially older veterans, who also don't think they're
excuse me,
worthy of services and things like that because they might not have been a combat vet, or I didn't do my this many years or things like that. So they're already putting themselves up against people that they feel are more deserving. And that's especially true with female presenting veterans. I can't remember the statistic, but I just went to a conference not long ago, and the largest number of veterans who refuse services or don't know they have access to service is female presenting.
Are women. Or
And
female presenting.
That's a whole nother deep dive topic because female presenting veterans have it, I'm going to outright say, have it so much worse than everyone else, because I default to that if you were a woman in the military, that you experienced some kind of military sexual trauma, period. Just because of that hypermasculine culture and things like that. And it's horrible. And that's one thing I've learned since I got out, and perspectives and things like that, is just the way others and other demographics and underserved populations are treated in the military and et cetera. So it's really, really eye-opening. But it also helped me understand that, I don't have to judge myself against other people and what their service was. Because as much like every other experience in life, that it's relative. It's all personal, and how it affects you it doesn't really matter how it affected somebody else. It's our personal journey, and all of them are relevant.
Yeah.
So.
And it's not a comparison journey.
Correct.
What do you wish civilians understood better about veterans' experiences?
Probably the weight I think a lot of us wrestle with on what we deem as right, wrong, good, bad, because a lot of us are lumped into categories and things like that. And it's like you just said, every journey's personal. You can't, yes, we can all generalize. You can generalize anything, but until you actually talk to an individual, you're never really going to know. So don't assume okay, a lot of us are actually crotchety old vets, but, not in the bad way. We might seem grumpy, or we're the vast majority of us are foul-mouthed and things like that. But, it doesn't, even the grumpiest old vet has a side you're not seeing, so don't write people off based on the assumptions. Talk to them. And word of note, usually not a great idea to jump directly into, oh, what did you see over there? And things like that, because that can really
Be
bring
activating.
back, stuff like that. So, sometimes don't even dive into the service. Let them bring it up at their own pace, things like that. But give them a chance. We're not always as mean or grumpy as we come off.
I don't necessarily have that view, so I think that's an interesting take. What helps you feel most grounded and alive now?
I think it comes back to what I'm doing. Not specifically. I don't even think it's field specific. It's just the getting out there and, working with the people that have been through all these hard things. And one of the things, and that's another thing I would like to go back to on the previous question with the idea of what people understand about veterans and whatnot is, and this is my personal perspective, I don't know how other feels about it, is that really trauma's trauma. It's just like we've worked with the houseless population, and people want to put this big priority on like veterans and PTSD and things like that. But there are so many other houseless people out there that have just as severe circumstances.
Yes.
Who aren't veterans.
Yeah.
So again, try not to compare people. Approach people with the same aspect of curiosity and compassion. When people talk about like, oh, I don't want this houseless person down next to my street or whatever. Well, it's like,
where do you want them to go?
Yeah, and you're making a lot of assumptions. It's like, have you actually gone down and spoken to them? Do you know their name? Because
then I would have to confront my feelings around it. I'd rather just push it away. There's resistance there. It's either what I was taught around people who are homeless, the beliefs that I have about the type of people that they might be. I was raised by a DEA agent, an undercover cop.
Yeah.
And he has very specific views on people who lay on the street.
Of course. And it's absolutely fear, Because let's be real, when somebody is having a mental health crisis, it can be really scary, because they're legitimately not in their right mind at the time. So I'm not telling anybody to be unsafe.
Yeah.
Don't just approach anybody at random.
Yeah.
But if you have an opportunity, if somebody, you're passing by and they ask for a cigarette or something.
Humanize them.
Yes, exactly. Look them in the eye and at least say, like, how you doing? Have a nice day.
Yeah.
It's
Treat them
little
like a human.
things. And maybe you might get to know something. Or if you see a same individual in your neighborhood fairly regularly that isn't in crisis or you feel comfortable approaching, talk to them. I mean, a lot of times a cup of coffee will go a long way. So
if another veteran was listening and quietly struggling, what would you want to say to them directly?
oof. That's a good one. I would say as real, sorry, excuse me.
Take your time.
As real as all of the negativity and doom and gloom and hopelessness feels in the moment, it always feels real in the moment, but it's temporary. Ending it is not the best option because there's always someone out there who cares about you, respects you, and has been positively influenced by your simple existence. So, in the worst of times, and you're feeling like ending it, try and hold on to the fact that you're having a positive effect on someone. It's never worth ending it in the moment, despite how real it may feel. I've been there. I tried. Thankfully, I failed. And thinking about it after the fact and realizing the harm I would have caused to those that do care about me and how much of a long-term impact that would have had on them just isn't worth it. And on top of not being worth it, we're more valuable than that. And like I said, I know in the moment it doesn't feel that way. But you deserve to live life as happy as anybody else does. Wow, that got heavy real quick.
That's okay. I appreciate your vulnerability and your honesty.
Well, I think that's the hardest part, though, is because when you're in that space, everything your brain is telling you feels so true and so real. Like when I attempted to take my own life, I legitimately, in that moment, thought my children would be better off without me.
I know, that's why you're crying right now.
Right. And it's just like, and it feels so real and so true. It's hard to get past it.
I know. I've been there myself.
And the other thing is, if you have, to those who may have loved ones that you suspect may be feeling this way, is even if you're having an inkling that something like this might happen, talk to them. And worst case scenario, if you do this sounds terrible, but maybe they do need to have a well check and take an inpatient or anything like that. If you have any of that inkling, make the call, because even in my worst state, I was still cognizant and aware enough for if somebody said, "Are you thinking about harming yourself?" I would have been like, "No, I'm fine." You know, people are good about, even in their worst state,
masking,
knowing how to
cover it.
So, and I know so many people are scared of making people angry by calling in these well checks, or because let's be real, nobody likes to be taken inpatient to a mental health hospital.
Well, you wouldn't be doing that first. You'd be doing a safety plan first.
Right.
Yeah.
But that is so minor compared to not making the call and losing someone.
Absolutely.
So
there's a lot of stigma around suicide.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stigma around it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of confusion about how to handle it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
A lot of fear around
Mm-hmm.
how do I address this with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And back to that authenticity of connection.
Right. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And you could say that anybody that has gone down that road is feeling disconnection from
Mm-hmm.
the people around them or
Mm-hmm.
from society at large. Mm-hmm. Thank you for being so brave and sharing that.
Yeah, it's real.
I
And
know.
and that's not just, as we've just mentioned so many times, the current state of the world is not just veterans either. Yeah, veterans might have a huge statistic,
Mm-hmm.
but when you start getting into intersectionalities, and things like that, that statistic just goes higher and higher and higher.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just veterans.
No.
Just check on your people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And if you are one of the people struggling, find at least one person you can be open with, because that goes so far.
It does.
And it's going to be awkward.
Especially if you feel so alone and isolated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be awkward and uncomfortable, but it'll be worth it in the long run.
Mm-hmm. If someone listening is living with long-term trauma and depression and telling themselves that they are just bad at life, what do you want them to know?
You just haven't found your spot yet. My last boss probably gave me the simplest.
I loved your last boss.
It's the simplest, probably the hardest, but also the most beneficial advice he ever gave me. And it's so simple. The universe will put you where you need to be.
Mm.
And it's just a matter of, because we get into these habits of, I didn't get the job I was waiting for.
Mm-hmm,
and we get super upset,
mm-hmm.
or
we had a plan.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of back to, I guess, that Buddhist philosophy of letting go of attachment.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just letting go of attachment to the negative things, it's to the positive things too.
Mm-hmm.
Understand that maybe, whatever it is, I'm doing all of these great things and stuff like that. Yeah, that's great and all, but you shouldn't be so hyper-focused on everything positive as well. I'm not explaining this properly,
That's
but
okay. I think I know what you mean.
The idea of things, I know this is going to sound with a toxic positivity, things will work out in some way, shape, or form.
Well, they always work out. I remind people of that all the time when they're having anxiety. I say, well, you figured it out up until now, haven't you?
Yeah, so much more resilient than we give ourselves credit
We
for.
sure are.
And that's a lot of things I explain to the people we work with. And I would like just the general population to think about too is it's like you said, we've made it this far.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think back to all of the darkest, most horrific places you've ever been, you're still here. You made it,
Yep.
or at least made it this far. You
Yep.
know, things might not be golden, but that speaks to a resilience that people, again, relatively that had easier paths may not have made it through.
Yeah.
You know, so give yourself credit where credit is due.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to do, especially it's like call center work. You never get the happy caller, you know. So when you're looking at yourself,
It's funny that you brought that up. That's what my daughter does.
but it's also when you're looking at yourself, we're so conditioned to only bring up the negative stuff. You know, so anytime you're thinking about, well, that didn't go well, you know, at least go back one step further and be like, okay, well, I made it in this scenario. And let's be real, I never thought I'd be doing this work. Like, I ended up here on accident.
Oh, yeah?
You know, and like I said, so the universe puts you where you need to be. Just try and be open to where you are in the moment, and you might find a part of yourself that you didn't know existed and didn't know you would be good at. You might find your place by accident. I was literally driving truck in a quarry, driving in circles all day, 12-hour days sometimes, before I got this job. And I just kind of stumbled into it by accident. I knew I didn't like what I was doing. It's the one job in my life where I quit without having something lined up.
Huh.
And I figured I've got this much. If I scrimp and save, I could probably make it 2 months before I run out of options. And it came down to the wire, but I got a call back. And the funny thing is, I thought it was not the job I thought I was applying for, but it sounded like something I could do regardless. And I'm like, I'm coming down to the wire. I like working with veterans. It sounds like I'm helping people. Sure, why not? Let's give it a shot. And then here we are, you know. So just be open, be flexible, and be open. And I'm not telling you not to feel disappointment if you don't get a job or you're not in a position you love or things like that. Feel what you feel, but give yourself the flexibility to be where you are in the moment, if that makes any sense. It sounds kind of cheesy, but wherever you are, you can do something with it. There's a purpose there, and that kind of goes back to the universe, supreme being, whatever. It's like you will end up where you need to be if you don't fight it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a lot of the problem. That I don't know if it's a societal thing or just a humanity thing. It's like we have an idea of where we're supposed to be and what we want to do.
We sure do. That's our ego.
Mm-hmm. And we just
our ego gets in the way.
Be open to new stuff.
Well, and we minimize or keep ourselves small. We don't think we're capable.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of conditioning around that, religious or not, societal. You know, we were talking about being rich earlier. Like, what does that even mean? Well, it's what my parents thought were rich. That's what was taught to me. And so because that's what was modeled to me, whether money was bad or money's the root of all evil or money, money just causes problems. If I have those beliefs, I'm never going to allow myself to make any money. It scares me. I'll spend it as soon as I get it in my bank account.
And then there's the other side of that, too, where people gravitate towards like employment because of the numbers of zeros on the end. So, this is what I need to survive and things like that. And there's some reality to that.
Absolutely.
But
especially if I'm making minimum wage at $7.25 an hour.
Oh my Lord. What? Yeah. Yeah. Living wage, minimum wage. I'm sorry. That's a whole different topic. But like, for example, I took a pay cut to do what I'm doing now originally. I've been doing it long enough that I think I'm balancing out now, but
That's good to hear. Congratulations.
Thank you. The thing is, it's like I wouldn't have traded the pay bump for the exponential improvement in my mental health and self-worth and just the feeling of doing something fulfilling.
It's way better than driving in circles in a quarry, huh?
Right. Yeah, I mean, you could have tacked on another zero to my paycheck and I still wouldn't go back compared to what I'm doing now because it is just, it's that, I don't know how to describe it, fulfillment.
Yes.
Find something where you feel fulfilled. And like I said, it'll surprise you where you end up. So if the universe is subtly nudging you in a direction, rather than going, no, just maybe roll with it, you know? If you got an opportunity, take something maybe you wouldn't think about taking.
Is there anything we haven't touched on that feels important to name about trauma, service, or healing?
Ooh, I think a big one is it's never going to be easy, and it's never going to be. I can't say never. I try not to speak in absolutes.
I love that for you.
Healing and growth is always going to be hard. You know, we have to confront things about ourselves that we don't like seeing. I think Carl Jung describes it as shadow work. You know, we have to know even the worst sides of ourselves in order to understand ourselves fully. We have to know our strengths, our weaknesses, and things like that, but also be accepting of them. We are human beings. We're flawed individuals. So take the time to get to know yourself, not in a judgmental way, but in an understanding way. How do I work with me as a whole? And that can also help you find your direction, you know, knowing there's a difference between wanting a path and knowing that a path works within who you are as a person. You know, like, yeah, I could have kept going for another 30 years driving truck. Could I do it? Yeah. Would I have built up a retirement plan that is probably more reliable than mine now? Yes. But it wouldn't have been good for me.
Yeah.
So, and that's another hard one. Figuring out what is important and good for you is not easy either.
No.
Because we have an idea, we all have our own ideas of what's successful. And maybe we're putting people's expectations on ourselves.
Or what we were taught, or what it, you didn't go to college, but it was expected for you to do something. You even said that. You know, if that expectation hadn't been there, you might not even have been in the military.
Ooh, and find your small tribe of people. It's not about how many friends you have, it's quality. You know, because that's huge. I will absolutely shout out to all my small group of besties out there who have kept me sane this whole time. Because having that, just one or two people you can really trust and reach out to and rely on is so much more than having a phone book full of contacts and acquaintances. I think we attribute the term friend to too many people. I think we have a lot of acquaintances that we enjoy spending time with, but a friend is way deeper than that.
I agree. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you shared.
Well, I appreciate you having me. It was a good discussion. I like having these kind of talks, and I hope it was beneficial to someone out there.
I'm sure it was. I have no doubt that it was. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, and here's another one. If you are a veteran, don't rule out social work or things like that. There's a lot of your battle buddies out there, your wingmen, that could really use someone who knows where they've been.
Mm-hmm.
So dip your toe in, whether it be mental health services, houseless services, whatever it is, it can be really rewarding.
Yeah.
Really rewarding. So don't discount it just because you don't think you have the training or skills or degrees. There's something, it's like
Gotta start somewhere.
Well, the
I
whole
certainly
idea
didn't have all the
of-
degrees.
Yeah, the whole idea of peer support. A lot of people don't know what this is. Is it simply a certification that says you've been through some shit, you've gotten far enough to heal, and now you can help other people through their shit. It's
Yep.
not a degree.
Yeah.
It's not a
It's more
long-term
like
program.
a certificate for having lived experience.
It's saying, okay, you've had all this lived experience.
Now
and
let's use it towards something.
Correct. Let's take all that crap you lived through and turn it into something positive. So,
Yeah. I really enjoyed my experience doing it. And I got to meet you. I'm grateful for that.
Yep.
So thank you, Grant.
Thank you.